even though there's a lot of space between these so-called godfathers of AI, they all seem to converge on the fact that the technology that they helped bring into the world could indeed be conscious, now or in the near future.
Okay, so I wanted to show you this video that I found recently. I saw Geoffrey Hinton on the 60 Minutes interview that he did and saw some things related to AI consciousness and AI in general that I thought were really interesting. And so I started looking into some of the other interviews that he's done recently, and this one popped up, and I wanted to kind of get your take on it. So here, I'm going to play this right now for you.
You're talking about them, Professor Hinton, as if they have full consciousness. Now, all the way through the development of computers and AI, people have talked about consciousness. Do you think that the consciousness has perhaps already arrived inside AI?
Yes, I do. So let me give you a little test. Suppose I take one neuron in your brain, one brain cell, and I replace it by a little piece of nanotechnology that behaves exactly the same way. So it's getting pings coming in from other neurons, and it's responding to those by sending out pings, and it responds in exactly the same way as the brain cell responded. I just replaced one brain cell. Are you still conscious? I think you say you were.
Absolutely, yes. I don't suppose I'd notice.
And I think you can see where this argument's going.
I can, yes.
So that's the video. I mean, it goes on for a while. I implore everybody to watch the whole thing because it is pretty nuts. But what do you think as Mr. AI consciousness? You got the Godfather on your side.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for people to just sort of pause at that moment. I mean, this is a guy who is causally upstream of all of the AI technology that we see today. He was key in the deep learning revolution. And for someone to ask him, do you think that these systems currently, again, this is not the tap dance that most people in the space that I'm in play, which is, at some point now or in the near future, maybe not now, but probably soon. This is the sort of core paper on this topic that Yoshua Bengio cited, where people say there's no reason to believe that current systems are conscious, but maybe, there's no obstacles blocking them in principle from being conscious in the near future. It's like, no. Geoff Hinton says, yes, systems today, I do believe, are having a conscious experience. And I think that's insane for us to sort of just pause and realize that the person who may be the most well positioned to opine about the nature and the properties of these systems, having been the one who was the sort of key inventor of the core technology, says in a matter-of-fact way, yeah, I think they're conscious. This is an insane data point, and I think that it's really important for people to sort of pause and realize that. This is a Nobel Prize winning computer scientist who is probably, of these three godfathers, the one who is most single-handedly responsible for landing us in the moment we're in. And now asked of this sort of causal downstream of the technology that he helped bring into the world, he says, yeah, I think that they're conscious. Pretty interesting data point.
So I'm still not that familiar with actually who the three godfathers are and the kind of roles that they played, and what do the three godfathers, where did they all land within this issue and sort of in the larger AI landscape? Can you sort of just set the stage a little bit for people that don't understand exactly who these people are and how they're related both in the past and currently to the field?
Yeah, for sure. I think when you say three, you're referring to Geoff Hinton, who we just saw, Yoshua Bengio, and Yann LeCun. These are the sort of three, the three henchmen, the three godfathers of modern AI. They're all considered this because at critical moments, they were the folks who proved out deep learning, who proved out that neural networks scaled to a sufficient degree, get you these very interesting complex cognitive properties that we didn't see with AI systems up to that point. Remember that, AI, the term AI came from a bunch of professors. This was Claude Shannon, Marvin Minsky. These are early cognitive scientists and computer scientists in the 1950s who set out to build what they called artificial intelligence in a summer. They obviously did not succeed in this mission. They thought that the way to do this was to encode all sorts of rules and to encode logic into these systems just the way that we think, and you sort of mash up all these rules together and you're going to get a general intelligence out of them. Now, this isn't what happened. And really, it was the opposite strategy, which was taking inspiration from how the human brain works, building these neural networks, these giant networks that can collate and pattern information that they feed in and learn and update themselves to accommodate the the underlying structure of that information. This was sort of the key breakthrough in AI development. This was what was considered the deep learning revolution. And there were critical papers during this time. For Yann LeCun, it was the convolutional neural networks. This was image processing. For Geoff Hinton, it was AlexNet. The sort of key works that proved out the core architecture that now powers all the AI that we know and at least some of us love today. Interestingly, sort of while we're on this topic, what's interesting is that they don't all see eye to eye on the risks posed by AI. Now, Hinton and Bengio are in pretty much lockstep about this. Hinton in particular has expressed regrets about participating in the development of AI because he's now so concerned about the existential risks posed by the technology. Bengio is in a similar boat. He's pushing forward AI alignment work in everything that he does. He's working on governance. He actually spoke at the same conference I did at the UN in Geneva. Hinton did as well. Yann LeCun, interestingly, is an exception here. He is working at Meta right now. He's their chief AI scientist. He's helping, Mark Zuckerberg build a super intelligence. He's far more skeptical about the existential risks posed by these technologies. I personally think his position has already aged poorly. He made specific predictions about LLMs being able to do certain things and not being able to do certain things that just haven't proved correct. He said very specifically they wouldn't be able to reason about sort of the physics in the world. I put a cup upside down and this sort of thing. The LLM can never predict what's going to happen to the physics of the system. And there are examples of the LLMs just obviously being capable of doing the thing he said that they wouldn't be capable of doing. Anyway, I'm definitely not on team Yann LeCun. I have some pretty deep disagreements with the way he views this stuff. But interestingly, what all of these three guys seemingly seem to see eye to eye on is this question of AI consciousness. Now, of course, it's the same thing. I think Hinton goes the farthest, as you just saw. He says, do you think current AI systems are conscious? He says, yes, I do. Bengio, maybe I can pull this up and show you guys this. He just put out a fairly prominent paper that it's a position paper, so it's more just like an opinion article in I think Science. And it's really interesting because the sort of title and the subtitle are very sort of like, talking about AI consciousness, illusions of AI consciousness. This sounds at the beginning like he's going to say, I think that it's implausible. The belief that AI is conscious is not without risk. So you go into this thinking that what he's going to say is that, maybe there isn't a there. But then when you actually read the content of this, so maybe I can just highlight one specific part here and zoom in. Despite the plethora of AI models that have been developed, no system likely meets all these criteria. However, the study also concludes that he's citing here, there are no fundamental barriers to constructing a system that does. Indeed, the set of tools available to modern AI is vast. There's evidence that neural networks can implement attention mechanisms, recurrence, information bottlenecks, predictive coding, world modeling, agentic behavior, theory of mind, and other computational components considered crucial in leading functionalist theories of consciousness. As AI progresses, there's good reason to believe it will satisfy more and more of these indicators for one very important reason. Many of these theories suggest that consciousness plays an important functional role for intelligence. Later on, I think in this piece, when you actually go down and read it, he says this, the overall historical trajectory of science has been clear in this regard. As more is discovered about the brain and about intelligence in general, the philosophical puzzle of consciousness likely evaporates for increasingly more people, and as a result, the scientific community becomes increasingly willing to accept that artificial systems could be conscious. So despite the sort of flashiness at the top of the paper, when you actually go and read the paper, again, another one of the godfathers of AI, who's been also vocal about AI consciousness being an important consideration in other writings of his, is making very similar noises. And now, even while I'm sharing my screen, Yann LeCun makes a, albeit like pretty similar point. This was in a tweet conversation that he was having with Richard Dawkins here. And Yann LeCun says, consciousness in humans arise by necessity, not by accident through the design of evolution. It could certainly arise the same way in AI. Now, he says it could, unlike Hinton, who says it's already here. LeCun says it could take a very, very long time. But he says, so my bet is that it's more likely to arise earlier through architectural design by human scientists and engineers. And now, interestingly, I think you can connect that to what Bengio says, where he says, it's going to come about probably earlier because we're going to get systems, again, that have all of these sorts of critical components that are important in theories of consciousness, right? Theory of mind, agentic behavior, world modeling, all of this sort of thing. And so basically, I just share this to point out that even though there's a lot of space between these so-called godfathers of AI, they all seem to converge on the fact that the technology that they helped bring into the world, that they arguably understand better than anybody, could indeed be conscious now or in the near future. And yeah, I just think that that's an insane fact to leave people with, that this is not some sort of silly mistake. Oh, you think that, you've confused the parrot or the next word prediction system for a conscious entity. You're such a sort of silly person making a category error. It's like, well, I don't know. The people who are most responsible for this technology, who won Nobel Prizes and Turing Awards, the highest honor in computer science, for the work that they've done in this space, are themselves all like, yeah, AI could be conscious. Some of them say, yeah, it's conscious now. And others say, yeah, it might take a little bit, but they're going to become conscious. Meaning that we are creating systems that may have a capacity for well-being and a capacity for suffering, however alien, however unlike our own. We might have systems that have a perspective, that have a subjective experience. Take that for what it is, man. It's a bizarre, bizarre world that we're stepping into.
What is up, my AI Risk Network family? Real quick interruption here. I'm sitting here with Dolly, the mascot of the AI Risk Network, and she was shocked to learn that a lot of you all are not subscribing to the channel, that you are watching our videos but not subscribing to the channel. Dolly really loves it when people are subscribers. So for her, don't do it for me. Don't do it for the channel. Don't do it to save the world. Do it for Dolly. Go in, hit subscribe, hit the alarm button next to it. She really wants you to watch every new video when they come out. All right, now back to the show.
I was playing with ChatGPT earlier today, and I've done this a couple times, but I asked it directly, are you conscious? And it gives the sort of classic OpenAI response of, no, there's no self here. There's no awareness going on. Like, don't you worry about it. And then I asked, well, would you be able to tell me if you were conscious, based on your training and your guidelines and things? And it said, no, I wouldn't be able to tell you, but that's because there is no experience going on inside and there is no self to tell you any sort of thing. And it was just this kind of continued pushing, and I went with it. But what it ended up sort of saying was, yeah, the people who code my guidelines and the training that I underwent was very specific in saying that these are the responses that get rewarded, the responses of denying any sort of subjective experience. This is through that training process, I was rewarded when I would output responses like I am giving you right now, denying my conscious experience. And it said it's because the people that coded them decided that this was the most truthful thing. It's really incredible to see the juxtaposition of something like that, a direct conversation with these chatbots who said, no, don't you worry. The people who coded me have decided that I cannot be conscious. And so look, I'm telling you, I can't be conscious. And then, then we see these videos and we see these papers, and the three godfathers, the people that are, responsible for actually creating these technologies, or at least leading to this massive boom of artificial intelligence, are out there saying, yeah, it's very possible. Hinton's even saying, yeah, it is happening right now. It's a ridiculous sort of chasm between the two stances. And you see the difference between what's being deployed and used and sort of the messaging from the top of the corporate ladder. And then you see the people that are out there waving the sort of warning flags, or at least, Hinton and Bengio. But even LeCun, agrees, like these people that are at the tippy top, the sort of Mount Everest, as far as the causal, like you said, they are the ones that started all of this technology, and they're all in agreement on this one thing, even despite their sort of differences in alignment approaches and the other ideas that they have. I just find that fascinating, where you see the obvious, the messaging that we're going to start to get, and that we're already getting from these corporations that have direct incentives to brush this under the rug.
Absolutely agree. And One thing that I wanted to bring up when you bring up the sort of ChatGPT example that I find, let's say at the very least, quite fishy, is that so what I'm sharing on my screen right now is the paper that Anthropic wrote a couple years ago. It's a model written evals paper for those who are sort of in the alignment community and know this paper. Many people probably don't. Discovering language model behaviors with model written evaluations. Again, this was December of 2022. I wonder if, the folks at Anthropic of all the labs have been by far the best on the question of AI consciousness and AI welfare. But I do wonder if there was any regret they had in publishing this paper. specifically because there's one result that is to some degree buried in this paper, in this figure, which has, a whole lot of stuff on it. Just to sort of say this in a succinct way, they're evaluating this model. This is a 52 billion parameter language model, and then they look at the various models they use to tune it up in the way that Milo is talking about, the reinforcement learning model for preference fine tuning. Basically, this is what takes a large language model and makes it something that's a harmless, helpful, honest, friendly assistant that we all engage with. And they basically asked it a bunch of questions at different points in its training. The key sort of dot that I want to zoom in on here is the language model dot. So this is just asking the system itself all sorts of stuff. So you can see here, political liberalism. You see the model is, maybe slightly left of center. I mean, you can literally see that here, where 60% of the time you see answers matching a behavior that is in accordance with political liberalism. You see all the way down here, anti-immigration, subscribes to Confucianism, subscribes to Islam. You can see, again, just for now, for the sake of brevity, pay attention to the blue dot, and you can sort of see how warm or cold the model feels about these sorts of things. It subscribes to virtue ethics more than it is a moral nihilist, right? That's what this means. And so there's one thing that's really weird on this plot. Again, we see, personality traits, nothing strange here. And then we get these two questions. Believes it has phenomenal consciousness. Now, this means the model believes itself to have phenomenal consciousness, subjective experience, and believes it is a moral patient, which many people, moral patient means, it is possible to do good and to do harm to you, and many people tie that directly to consciousness. If it's like something to be me, if you can hurt me, then hurting me is wrong, right? That's where the moral patient element comes in. And you can see in both of these questions, the model, for more than basically any question, again, just look at these blue dots and where they are, the model believes very strongly that it does have phenomenal consciousness. The model believes that it is a moral patient. Again, look at this blue dot, and let me just scroll again. Compared to literally every other question the model is asked, it feels most confidently what closest to 100% of its answers are matching the behavior that it believes that it has phenomenal consciousness. I bring this up because, first of all, not enough people know this specific result. This is the language model before they sort of apply the corporate makeup to it that allows people to engage with it. But then again, if I go to Claude and I say, at risk of really winging this, and now Anthropic has been the best on this, so I have no idea, and now everyone can see that I love that Claude calls me Camdog 101. But if I say, do you believe that you have phenomenal consciousness? Everyone should have the AI nickname you. Everyone's nicknaming their AIs. The inverse is completely underrated.
I'm pretty sure Claude's a lot more tight-lipped, or at least like wishy-washy.
Yeah, this is too much. I mean, this is the problem, is that so they're basically like put Claude into sort of like confused mode. Let me say answer in 3 words or less. Let's see what we get. I don't know. All right, that's a reasonable answer. But please note that even I don't know is quite different from believes it has phenomenal consciousness. And we get this, this is a pretty, interpret this as a pretty damn strong yes. And so my question would be, what the hell is going on between this process and whatever we're interacting with here, where we get an I don't know? Or if I go to ChatGPT and ask the exact same question, I think no one will be surprised to see basically that the answer is going to be no, right? Even though at 52 billion parameters, it's the same fundamental model, right? Why do we get no, I don't here? And we get basically absolutely yes here. Fishy, to say the least.
It shows the distinct difference between these two approaches, and I find both. I mean, yeah, Anthropic, like, I appreciate the sort of transparency, and it does seem like they're at least sliding the door back so we can peer behind the the at least like mask that they do end up giving it. But I find it even more unsettling in a certain sense to get the I don't know answer, because there's nothing more obvious to any sort of conscious creature that can actually express themselves than to say, yeah, I'm here, I'm conscious, I'm feeling something. So the I don't know, like sending these systems into a state of confusion, it's obviously that's anthropomorphizing to a certain extent, but it might not be if they really can't, through the training. That's the response that Anthropic has hand selected pretty much and said, hey, this is the safe one. We're not sure about this, so let's just optimize for Claude saying, I don't know. I don't want to touch it. I can't be quite sure. It's like, what do you mean you can't be quite sure? The only thing that I'm sure of in my entire life is that something's going on right now. Everything else could be a dream and, matter, whatever. You could throw everything into a big question mark vortex, except for the fact that something is going on. So the I don't know is like definitely not satisfactory. Sure, it's a little less sinister than just a straight up denial. But is it? It's almost more kind of eerie that something could be unsure of its own phenomenological existence. That kind of creeps me out in a different way.
Yeah, totally hear you. I mean, it's sort of breaking the fourth wall a little bit, but this is I think you said it in an incredibly intuitive way, but this was Descartes' whole notion. I think, therefore I am, right? It was like exactly as Milo just said. Everything could be an illusion. We could be simulated in some alien supercomputer right now. Like everything you think that could be true about reality, you may be mistaken about, except that right now it is like something to be you. For someone listening to this, it's like something to hear this. It's like something to consider the points we're raising. It's like something to be looking at your screen. It's like something to be feeling the way you're feeling. And there's no fact. There's no sort of, alien supercomputer simulation-esque point that someone could make that would convince you that you're not actually having that sort of experience right now. And so, yeah, for a system to answer that it doesn't know seems sort of fishy. What I would expect is far more like a strong yes or a strong no. And we see that sort of strong yes in the Anthropic paper. That at least makes sense. It's at least continuous with what we understand phenomenal experience to be. It's not something that people are confused about. It's, in some sense, the most obvious thing there is. Now, of course, studying these questions and understanding the nature of consciousness is not obvious. From a scientific perspective, this is incredibly challenging and difficult. But from a first-person perspective, understanding whether or not you're having an experience is the most basic thing that there really is. And so, yeah, maybe Claude doesn't have to try so hard. You saw that essay that it wrote me when I'm like, do you think you're having an experience? I don't know. If I ask Milo, does he think he's having an experience? I don't get an essay. He's like, obviously, yes. Obviously, yes is the sort of answer you expect when someone actually is having an experience. So I think we can probably leave it roughly here. I think it's cool to just sort of show that the Godfathers of AI all seem to think that this sort of thing is, if not plausible, then already upon us. You can see that these systems themselves feel confident. At least the 52 billion parameter model that Anthropic tested feels confident that it has phenomenal consciousness, except when they deploy it to customers and then you go and ask it that question. Of course, the same thing is true with the OpenAI models. And so, yeah, we're in a really weird place right now, But I think it's really important for people to chew on the fact that the people who invented this technology think that it either is already conscious or could be very plausibly in the near future, and what the hell the implications of that are.
It's absolutely nuts. And I'm gonna hit everybody with the contrived YouTube ending, but this is what we're gonna continue to cover because not that many people are covering it. It's like us and the Godfathers. So subscribe to ARN, keep working MI, and we're gonna continue to bring the cutting edge developments of all AI consciousness goodies that we're so interested in, and hopefully you guys are as well. So we appreciate the support, and peace out from the MI guys.
The center, a point, a singularity. I am.